Hey guys, I just wanted to come on here real quick and talk about an auto-buy author. So one of my auto-buy authors is K.F. Breene. And to make a very long story short, she is an auto-buy author because after a approximately 12 to 13 year hiatus from reading, um, her book was one that reignited my passion for reading. Um, so she became an auto buy author for me. She also introduced me to the genre of romance. It's not that I hadn't read books with romance in it, but I'd never read a romance book, if that makes any sense. Um, so this was interesting. So the series of hers that got me back into reading is the Deliciously Dark Fairy Tale series, and it starts with the book A Ruin of Roses. And in this book we meet our FMC Finley and our MMC Knifeane, I think is how it's pronounced. I'm not real good with fantasy names, so I'm not real good with real people's names, so let alone fantasy names. Um, there's too many consonants in a row in these people's names sometimes, but Finley I got. But this is kind of the start of their story and how they meet. And of course, right, it's Beauty and the Beast. So you have a kingdom that is under a curse, and this is a shifter community, right? It's a shifter kingdom where the dragon shifters were the rulers and the royalty, and all of the other animal shifters were the common folk, I guess. Definitely had some social classes and striation there, or stratification there. But anyway, so the first book is kind of where we're introduced to them, and there's this kind of tension, and it's great and it's wonderful. Then we get into the second book, which is A Throne of Ruin, which starts to get more into the relationship between our FMC and our MMC. So this is where, right, they really start falling in love. In the first book, they meet and they kind of, there's the attraction. But the second book is really, here's how we kind of make our daily life together. Here's what that looks like. And, just figuring each other out. The second book is probably my favorite one because it really is where you get to watch them fall in love. Then I believe it's the third book. Yep, the third book. I don't know if I want to tell you. Well, she's in the dungeons. That's all I'll say. Our FMC has to spend a lot of time in the dungeons and being tortured. And so that is what the third book is. And then the fourth book in the series, and the last one that wraps it up, is A Queen of Ruin. And this is just kind of the final epic battle. There is also, so that's the original 4-book series. There is also an offshoot of one of the characters that we meet, I think in the third book. Yeah. And that's a duology that starts with A Cage of Crimson and it ends with A Cage of Kingdoms. Wasn't the biggest fan of A Cage of Crimson. It's actually my least favorite KF Breene book. But that's okay, right? You're not going to like all of them. And it wasn't bad. It just, relative to her other books, it was my least favorite. Now, A Cage of Kingdoms, I have not read yet. So it's on my TBR and part of my 25 I want to finish in 2025. Because that will wrap up this series for me. So I definitely want to get around to that. But the Cage of Crimson and Cage of Kingdoms, like I said, it's an offshoot little duet that follows Weston, who is a very powerful alpha shifter, and we meet him in the third book of the original 4-book series. Um, but yeah, so KF Breene, auto buy author for me. Love this series. Does a really good job of taking the story of Beauty and the Beast and making it her own and putting her own spin on it. I really enjoyed how there were some aspects of kind of modern living, but not that they got to enjoy really, except for the occasional pair of jeans. So just little things like that. And our FMC in this, Finley, she's strong, she's a badass. She can definitely take care of herself and hold her own, which I like. Um, I love when you have a possessive MMC. Oh, it's so good. Like, touch her and die vibes. And so you definitely get that with Dragon Shifters. Yeah, so I did not realize prior to this series that I was going to enjoy romance novels like this. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Let me know if you've read any of the books in this series, what you thought about them. Have you read any other books by KF Breene? This is not going to be my first TikTok talking about her. I'm sure I'll make more.